Hello guys. In the previous video, we saw a little bit about what is big IP, and then we also talk about Terraform and Terraform provider. We'll look at first the big IP GUI, like the user interface of big IP, F5 big IP, uh, and we'll see like what are the pieces required. Let's say if you are configuring the virtual server pool numbers, pool members, and so on, where to look at uh, those kind of things. And then we'll talk about how to install Terraform on Mac OS. Um, and then the third one is actually we'll create a TF file, Terraform HCL file, uh, so that we can use this Terraform TF file to configure the big IP, right? Using AS3. And we'll use Terraform to do that. So this is my big IP here. So I'm gonna log in into the big IP. So I have a big IP here, and if you see here on the local traffic management, I don't have any virtual server configuration. This is where basically you will create the virtual server, uh, so that like for example, I can create a virtual server. Let's say example one virtual server, and then I can give the destination address. So where the client typically will hit this particular address. Let's say if I give this address, and then I need to enable the port, HTTPS port, let's say, and then rest of the configuration, right? So it has a lot of knobs to configure for the virtual server, but the bare minimum are the one which are shown in blue, right? Those you need to configure. Uh, so all this configuration we can do through Terraform. Imagine like if you have hundreds of virtual server to be configured along with pool members and nodes and stuff like that. That requires a lot of click ops, right? You need a lot of clicking. So instead of that, we can use Terraform to deploy the configuration, right? And that's what we're gonna see here. So let's see now. Actually, we can download Terraform. So let me search for Terraform download, right? And if I go here, actually, I can go to this one, and you can install this way. So you can say brew install Terraform, or you can download. Let me download it. So I can go to AMD 64 here, which is for Mac. So I can hit download, and you can see that I have my Terraform downloaded already. So you can see that I have this already in my download folder. I can double click that and it will extract. So I have already extracted Terraform into my download folder. So I have downloaded, I have already unzipped, and now it is in my download folder. So I can, what I need to do, it's not on my in my path, right? So if I do Terraform on the terminal, I'm not getting anything. So what I can do is go to downloads and ls minus lrt Terraform. So you can see that my Terraform file is there now. So if I execute here, uh, I should be able to execute, right? Yeah. So it is working fine. But now I need to put in the path. So what I'm going to do is move this Terraform file into user slash local slash bin, right? And now it is in my path. So now if I go back to, let's say here, on my home directory, I can do Terraform, and then pretty much Terraform is installed now, right? So I can execute Terraform from whichever directory I want. So our second part is also done. Now what we can do is see how we can create a TF file. Okay. So in the first part, we already saw the Terraform provider. So which is there already the docs, right, in the Terraform registry for big IP. So what we can do is pretty much take this particular config and I can, let's say, create a directory. Maybe I'll say Terra example, let's say cd example, and then I can create a main.tf file, right? And pretty much which will have a variable defined as hostname, username, and password. I have Terraform block where I'm calling the Terraform provider, big IP provider, and which is sourcing the provider from here. And then I have the provider block where I am referring to this uh, variables, which are hostname. Hostname is the big IP management IP. Then you have the big IP admin or username, and then I have the password, right? So now once we do that, so if you look at, I have to do Terraform init so that I initialize the Terraform. So you can see that it is already initialized. But if I do Terraform plan now, it will say, okay, what is my host address and password, right? So I can give those host name. Let me do that. So this is my host name, which I'll be providing here. And then password, I can give the password. So so this is the password, and then username is admin. So you can see that the Terraform, there are no changes. So I was able to basically initialize the provider and I'm ready to configure the big IP. So now my Terraform provider is able to talk to big IP pretty easily now. So now next step is actually we'll look at example AS3 and then we'll use Terraform resource to deploy the AS3 using Terraform, right? So we'll do that. So here I'm back on to the Terraform provider. Uh, so let's look at the F5 automation. And then this is the resource, big IP AS3 to deploy the configuration, right? And if you look at this, actually, it's example usage. You reuse the resource big IP AS3, and this is the tag which we are giving, and then example.json is the JSON which will be deployed. So there are two ways of doing it. You can give the tenant name also, but if we don't give yeah, if the AS3 itself has the tenant name, then you don't need to mention it here, right? So I can go, let's say, look at example1.json. So if you see, this is the example which we can use, right? So now what I will do is actually pick up this particular code and let's open this file again, which is our main file, and then I can add that code here, right? Which is my example1 JSON. So now I don't have the example JSON here. So what I need to do is also pick up the example JSON file as well, right? And that's what I'm going to do now. So let's pick up that from the same location. So I can do vi example1.json and pretty much take this file. So I have the JSON now, which is sample 1001 is the tenant name. Then you have the application one, and this application is simple HTTP application. Virtual IP is 10.002.168. 10.02.10. Then we have the pool, web pool, and then we are configuring these as node and then referring that pool into the virtual server, right? So let me save this. So if you look at the configuration again, you will see that you have the example1.json, which is there already. You can pick up from the cloud or from any website as well as from GitHub as well if you have it there. But in this case, it is local, so I'm just gonna refer local. So now what do we do is run a Terraform plan. Plan means it's not gonna deploy. It's just gonna uh, do a dry run kind of thing, wherein it is gonna check whether the configuration, the definition has been done correctly or not. So let's give the password again. So pick up the passwords. I'm gonna give the password and then my uh, username. So you can see that it has already ran the plan and it's going to manifest this particular configuration on Big IP, right? So let's do Terraform apply and I can do auto approve. That means it won't wait for anything. Only it will wait for the inputs which we need to give. So let me give that. So again, I can create a terraform.tfr file and put this value there in the file, and then it need not ask me these questions, right? Once you have put there. So, but currently we are just learning, so let's put do it this way, and then I'm gonna do admin as a username, and now let's see what happens, right? So now if you look at it's creating the AS3 resource, right? And it should basically configure the big IP for us. So let's look at big IP here. I have the big IP. Let's see virtual server. So I don't see anything here because I have not selected the partition. So it creates a tenant which is a partition on big IP, and you can see that it has already configured the virtual server for us, right? And the virtual server is 10.02.10, and then the pool is web pool, which has two members already, which we saw 192.0.100 and 192.0.100, 110, right? And this is pretty much basically it configured for us everything, right? It also configures the monitor, whatever definition you have given in the file, right? So if you look at the other things, like for example, AS3 here, this is the template, fast template, but let's look at the RPM which it is using. So these are the app services you need to have loaded on the big IP before using AS3, right? So currently it is using 1.9, 3.36 AS3 version, and yeah, so that is it's not the latest one, but it's close to latest. So now what we can do is also we can pretty much destroy the configuration. So we can say Terraform destroy, and then again it's going to ask you those details which we'll be giving, and then it's going to basically clean the configuration, right? So it's asking me whether you have to destroy, and that's pretty much it will clean up the big IP for you. That's pretty much it. Let's talk about other things, basically on automation using Terraform in my next video. Thanks for watching, guys.